Jeez. Hi, I'm Art Fein. It's Art Fein's Poker Party coming to you from beautiful, where are we? Van Nuys.
Van Nuys.
Van Nuys,
Van Nuys.
with a very special musical guest, Spanky McFarland. Spanky. What are you doing? Welcome to the show. It's
Thanks,
nice.
Art.
It's wonderful to see you here.
Is this in connection with the Little Rascals movie that's coming out?
Exactly. By the way, did you ever play on a bill with the Young Rascals?
The young, of course, well, with the Mamas and Papas many times.
Oh,
many
but
times.
that doesn't count.
count.
I got Todd Everett here. Todd.
Excuse me.
Hope we won't be hearing from you anymore during the show. Nice to see you there.
I'll just sit over to the side and listen to you ask the questions.
Okay, you butt out.
All right, so Spanky McFarland, lead singer, of course, of Spanky Our Gang, maker of all them memorable songs, which are all great songs. I'll read them, but I know them. Sunday will never be the same, making every minute count.
Art, you don't have to do this.
But I like them.
Lazy Day.
Lazy Day.
My Bill.
My girl Bill.
My
No,
bill.
My Bill.
Some time ago, we reminded you of the unpaid final bill.
So we're going to talk a little
Bob
about
Duro.
a little about that time period and subsequent time and before time. Right now, what are you doing?
When is lunch?
You're working on a home decorating thing. Was that what it was?
Home decorating. No.
Was it, oh,
It's I do have a new business. It's called the Closet Angel, and I come into your house and I wreck it.
Yeah.
No, I go to your closet with your wife, preferably, and I make her try on all her clothes and tell her what looks like crap.
So closet. It's not really the closet. It's the contents of the closet.
It's the contents.
I thought you
of the
fixed closets.
No, I don't. I'm not a carpenter.
Okay.
That was Karen.
Yeah. All right, so that's part of it. You're also in the music business. We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Spanky Our Gang for a while.
Okay.
You guys, when did the first hit come out? 65?
No.
6?
7.
7, that late, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys were after the Mamas and Papas.
Yeah, I was in Chicago freezing my butt off, and I heard California Dreamin', and I knew Cass, because she had come through Chicago as a folk singer in the early 60s. And I heard that song on the radio, and I said, I can do that. I can do that.
And indeed you could, and you did.
So you had been sort of a folk and blues singer in Chicago up to that point, hadn't you?
Yes, I was privileged to sing with little brother Montgomery and his band.
Yeah, I had that album. I forgot about
man,
that.
that is a classic. If you've got it, hang on to it. I don't have it.
Also the New Wine Singers.
New Wine Singers, a wonderful folk group from Cleveland. I told them I would help them out. I used to get these jobs all the time when these girl singers would get pregnant. I got the job with the New Wine Singers because the girl got pregnant, and then I said, okay, well, I'll hang with you guys for a couple of months till you find somebody, and 2 years later I was still there. But I also had my very first job as Jamie Lynn of the Jamie Lynn Trio, and we played the 3 Playboy clubs that existed then, New Orleans, Chicago, and St. Louis? No, Miami. And I had to become a size 8 so I could fit into her dresses and go blonde.
So there was a real Jamie Lynn.
There was a real
somewhere or
Jamie
another, and you
Lynn.
stepped
She got
into her-
pregnant and I got her gig. That's how I got all my gigs.
Now you say you're
They had the wardrobe, so it was up to you to fit into.
That's
it.
right.
So you say you were
exactly.
sitting in Chicago and hearing California Dreamin', which made you walk down to Wacker Drive. I mean, you didn't go to California, you went to Mercury Records, which was in
I
Chicago.
didn't go to Mercury Records. They came to me. I actually, what it made me do was realize I was freezing my butt off in Chicago, and I went to Florida.
By the way, when you left there in 65 or 6?
5.
And have you ever lived there again?
Chicago?
Yeah.
I left there in 67. I went to Florida in 65 and I came back. No, I've never lived there again. I've always wanted to because it is a great party town.
Because I left there in 65 and never lived there again, and I never.
Did you ever
had
come?
never
Oh, you
inten-
probably
never
never
gone
saw
there
us
with
or
my mother,
anything.
but I never had no intention of being there.
Yeah.
It was a cold and other.
It's that winter. I don't do the hawk on the lake.
Can she finish the story of how Spanky and Our Gang got together, and we'll do the
No,
interview with
no,
you
we're
later.
Talk about my childhood in Chicago. Tom. I told you.
Well, put your feet up. Make yourself comfortable.
So you got to Miami. Anyways, when did they find you at Mercury?
Okay. So I met Oz, Bach, and Nigel Pickering during a hurricane party in Miami, and I said, if you ever get to Chicago, look me up. Big mistake.
So what were they doing at the time?
Playing at the party?
Together?
Yeah. Oz played stand-up bass, and Nigel had a big old 12-string.
So they were Miami folkies.
Yeah, exactly.
Was he Nigel?
Nigel used to be in the Folksters with Kenny Hodges and Lefty Baker,
Oh,
who
okay.
later joined Spanky Our
Yeah.
Gang. It's all incestuous.
Did the
It's
Folksters
terrible.
record?
The Folksters did record. Yeah, they did. I can't tell you what label because I don't have any of the records. But
Was Nigel always Nigel Pickering?
no, he was Fred Williams and
Okay.
Curly Williams and whole bunch of
Yeah,
other names.
because I had always heard that he was the Curly Williams who wrote.
He is.
Which Hank Williams song?
No.
Half as much.
No, I wish.
Yeah.
And so does he.
Yeah.
No, he was a DJ, and he had a big old country western swing band in Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
And he was Curly Williams, the DJ.
So he
and I
almost
think
could
he
have
had to
been.
leave Milwaukee, and then he went to Florida and he became a cop. Right. And then I met him, and like I said, told him to come visit me in Chicago. And one day I was walking outside my apartment, and these guys are going, Spanky, Spanky, yelling from their car. And it was them, and they had all their possessions with them. And I said, oh, what are you going to do? You got to invite them in. So I did, and while we were in my apartment, everything in their car got stolen. Welcome to Chicago. But they did bring the instruments in with them, so we still had those. This is a long story, but I'll try to make it short. Then we all got the flu. And we were all in my one-room apartment, and we were like in the bed like puppies, you know, like moaning and groaning. And there was no money, so somebody had to get a job. So I lived next door to this club on Wells Street called Mother Blues, owned by my favorite person in the whole world, Lorraine Blue. And Curly Tate managed the place, and he comes up to me at the bar on a Friday night, and he says, Spanky, we need an opening act for Tuesday. And I had already retired. This is during one of my retirements. And I said, well, what are you telling me for? He says, I need you to put something together. So we learned every song Nigel knew, every song I knew, and every song Oz knew, even some songs Oz had written. And by Tuesday night, we had all these songs and a little comedy thrown in between. And I played the jug and the washboard, and I had a banana with a rubber banana with a kazoo in it. I know. And Nigel on the 12 string and Oz on the stand-up bass. And then we opened it. We couldn't think of a name, you know. We loved the Andrews Sisters.
Oh, that was the name. I thought-
And the
that was the name.
Swingle. No, and we loved the Swingle Singers. So we'd try to, sing like that. And
So the harmony was always part of it.
exactly. Very important part of it. In fact, that's probably why I don't sing alone, because I like to be surrounded by that wall of sound. I like to be right in the middle. Doesn't make me a bad girl, does it?
No. I don't know what you were doing with those two other guys in the bedroom with the flu. but-
No. We weren't doing anything but vomiting with the flu. But anyway, gosh, can we start over? Anyway, so then he said, oh, I know, we got great reviews. Actually, we opened for Bob Gibson, and we got great reviews. And then Mercury Records came in to see us and signed us, and it never occurred to us that we might have a choice of labels. They said they wanted to sign us, and they, gave us a bunch of money and new clothes, and so we went for it.
And Mercury was based in Chicago at the time.
Yes.
They were always based in
Irwin
Chicago.
Green. And Jerry Ross was our producer. And we actually recorded something that I can't say I'm ashamed of it, but nobody knows about it. Do you think we should say
Sure.
Okay.
MacArthur Park.
No, we recorded, our first record was And Your Bird Can Sing,
Oh,
a song by the Beatles. The flip
It's a
side
great
was...
What's the problem?
yeah, we had a good arrangement of it, but it just didn't go. And then the flip side was Will I See You in September? That song. So that didn't go over too well with the Chicago DJs. And
so that was actually put out as a record?
Yes.
As a Mercury record?
yes, it's our first
And
single.
it never wound up on any albums or anything?
No, thank you. No, I'm glad
Okay.
to say. And then we went to Chicago, or to New York, and recorded Sunday Will Never Be the Same, and our first album, which actually was unfinished when they put it out. The vocal I did on Buddy Kenny's Spare Dime was a scratch vocal. I did it at 4 in the morning, and I was going to come back the next day and do it. Well, the next day never happened. The album was out before it was weird. Those were the days.
You were working with Bob Duro as sort of a vocal arranger, coach, whatever.
Later.
Oh, so this was all
This
done
is all
totally
prior
on your
to
own.
Scharf and Duro, right?
Okay.
Right. But they were working with Chad Mitchell, and I was real jealous because they were doing real quality work.
Yeah.
And I knew they were the team I wanted. And Jerry Ross, I had hits with me. So the first album had Lazy Day, Make It Every Minute Count, Sunday Will Never Be the Same. And he had these hits, and so we had this great track record. And I'm going, but I don't want him. And they're going, well, Spanky, you have hits, and you're going to be rich and famous. I said, yeah, but I really want to do this quality work. You know,
This was the 60s.
I mean, Jerry Ross was a great producer, but his expertise at music was, if the music went like that and he could move the shoulder, and then it was okay, you know. And it was like, I really wanted musician type people, and nothing against Jerry Ross. And so finally I got my way for the second album, which was the Like to Get to Know You album. I'm very proud of that. And we stayed with Sharf and Drove then for the third album, which is the one where Malcom died, and we had to disband.
Now you worked on all over the place. I mean, you played with virtually everybody of that period, right? I mean, you were on bills with Hendrix and stuff like that, right?
No, not so much. It wasn't a big package time then, not like now, where you put a bunch of acts together and you know you're going to sell the tickets. At that time, we were headliners, and people like Richie Pryor opened for us, and gosh, I remember we were at a Catholic college, and he went on first, and there were nuns in the audience, and he was talking about trying to get the girdle off the girls in the back seat of the car. I was like, God, because I knew that those nuns must have been dying. So anyway, let's talk about you, Todd.
So,
No, let's hear more about art.
okay, so now at that time period, you were not in competition, but with the Mamas and Papas, and you mentioned hearing the California
Yes, I did.
calling you, but I haven't heard about your getting here.
Well, we actually did come and make our albums in the. By now we'd moved from Chicago to New York, but the winters we would try to be on tour. We played colleges. That's what you did in those days. And in the summer, when there were no colleges to play, we would go to L.A. and record. Now we're with Sharf and Darrell, and making those other songs, Like to Get to Know You, Give a Damn. Oh, Sunday Morning was one of my favorite recordings.
Going back a little ways, you grew up in Peoria, so what got you up to Chicago? What kind of folk stuff grabbed you that made you see the light, so to speak?
Believe it or not, before folk music, it was New Orleans style Dixieland jazz. And my brother used to bring home these Firehouse 5+2 album records, 45s. Yeah. And he loved Louis Armstrong, and my brother played the trombone. And he turned me on to this music, and what are you going to do?
What was the first record you bought?
I bought, oh boy, it might have been a 45. I don't think it was Elvis, because I wasn't an Elvis fan. I think it was probably the Everly Brothers.
What about the first cool concert you saw that made a difference? Like, you must have had to go up to Shy for that.
Well, that kind of gets into the old Gate of Horn days when I was like 17 and sneaking in there.
Oh yeah, you mentioned seeing Gibson and Camp at the Gate of Horn, but that would be a very narrow range, because didn't they just make that album and then disband? I mean, did they play there a week?
It seemed like they were there for a long time together, but my frame of reference now is a little fuzzy.
Yeah, but did you go to the one that's on the record, you think? You know, the live at the Gate of Horn?
I don't know.
Yeah. Is that you yelling yay?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So when one of the gang, first of all, was it your group? I mean, was it you and a bunch of other guys?
It was me and Nigel and Oz, and of course they didn't want to name it after me. But I was being called Spanky then. It was just a nickname.
You were already Spanky.
I was already Spanky. But so they were anxious to find a new name. But once the deal went down, it was Spanky and Our Gang. And we never changed it after that. Then we went electric. Baldwin gave us electric 12-string and electric harpsichord. And I electrified my jug and my kazoo and my washboard.
Electric jug?
Yeah, I had the first one ever.
The first of exactly how many?
Remember the Kreskin jug band?
Yeah,
Well, I
sure.
showed Fritz Richmond how to make an electric jug. And he had one then too. So
They're all on
then there were
synthesizers
two.
now, that's why
Yeah.
you don't see
Right,
them.
you can sample it now.
So all right, let me jump a little ahead on that to the 70s, where I have one photo. For some reason, I found this in my collection, a picture I had taken in, what would you say, 1977 or 8.
At the
I don't know, he won't let me see it.
Well, I got to show it to them, and if you could look, it's just.
That looks like the Palomino.
Yeah, it is the Palomino. And, it's one of your many country versions of Spanky and Our Gang performances
Yes,
there.
in the 70s, I did struggle with my country band from 74 to 80.
And you were real good. I mean, it was great stuff.
It was good stuff,
But I would
wasn't
think
it?
that there'd be kind of like an image problem with the name because people think of you in terms
Exactly,
of 60s pop
and it
songs.
was with the record label too. We were on Epic. That's the label Patty Hearst was on. That's why they couldn't find her for so long.
I see.
Bada bing.
No, that was when I first met you. I think that's when you
Yeah.
were on Epic.
Yeah, it was a good band though. I think we finally did record on Epic in '75 with Chip Young in Nashville, and they said, "Oh, it's too country," and then we came back and went up to Sausalito and recorded some more, and finally they put something out, but they never pushed it. They couldn't see us as a country band. We were like singing 6-part harmony to the Tennessee Waltz and San Antonio Rose, and they just
I
couldn't.
mean, it was a time that could have made it because there was enough mix-up of what country
right,
and rock were at
exactly,
that time.
but it just
didn't. Who
wasn't
knows?
quite ready.
And then what about, okay, then going forward, what about you're joining the Mamas and Papas?
Oh, I stayed with the Spanky and Our Gang country band. We finally moved to Las Vegas in 1980.
Wow.
And we were a house band for a casino.
Wow.
You know I must have loved that. Yeah.
As Spanky and Our Gang?
Yeah. And it's a
What casino
country
is that?
band. I don't remember.
Okay.
Anyway, so then in '81, I finally quit the band, and I just said, I can't do this anymore. And I came back to LA with my children, and I just knew something was going to happen. And sure enough, in March of '81, Denny and John and I got on a conference call. I didn't know John. I did know Denny. I had met Denny at a Bob Gibson session in '74.
We're talking about
Denny Doherty
Denny
and
Doherty,
John Phillips
right,
of the
John
Mamas and
Phillips,
Papas.
exactly. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And they said, "Can you come and join the Mamas and Papas?" And I said, "Well, how do you know you want me?" It was really weird. I mean, how could you tell over the phone? You know? They said, "Oh, we want you. We want you."
Had they ever crossed paths with you professionally at all?
Denny and I had been to a Mamas and
That one time,
Yeah.
but you'd never worked together.
Never
for
worked
instance, right?
together. And Cass was dead by now, of course, and long gone. And John had cleaned up his acts, so to speak. And he was drug-free. And it was a family thing. The Phillips family was reunited, and actually it was a very, very nice thing to join up with. And, you know, so I joined them in '81. And
So
we
at that
did-
point, it was
we did
John,
nothing
Denny,
for a
you,
year.
and
Michelle. Mackenzie. Mackenzie, the daughter.
Who was a lot better than one might have expected her to be.
She really was. She had a good, strong voice. She had never really performed that much, but she had a good voice.
This was after One Day at a Time.
Yes.
In fact, I remember seeing
Oh,
you
yeah.
perform that song.
Oh
as
yeah,
the
we
Mamas
used to
and
do one
Papas.
that
Yeah,
one. That's
sure.
right. Such a charming little ditty.
Oh, come on, it was a cute little song.
It was fun. So anyway, I don't know.
If it was your series, you'd feel a lot better about
If it was my series, I wouldn't have blown it.
so that Mamas and Papas has endured more or less till now, right?
I think they're still going. I think Denny's
You
left
were
them
out.
now.
You left in '93.
Well, Scott
I left
McKenzie was in there
93.
for a while
He's
too.
still in
place
there,
of
I
Denny.
think. I think.
Oh, really?
No, he replaced John because John got sick and had a liver transplant.
Oh, okay. So it was Scott and Denny and Mackenzie and you, or somebody.
Yeah.
You mean Mackenzie and Mackenzie? And
Yeah.
Then Mackenzie
Well,
and Baker
Scott
and Mackenzie.
McKenzie and Mackenzie Phillips, as I recall,
you
were,
wanna know how
were
that
both
worked?
named after the same person.
No. Well, that's probably true. It was her name first.
Yeah, because
and
I
then
asked her if she was named after him, and she said no. We were both named after somebody or another
in
else.
her family.
Yeah.
Someone in her family.
So his name is really Hero or something?
Philip Blondheim.
Oh, okay.
He's German, you know.
I see.
And his Philip Blondheim became Scott McKenzie. Now you know the truth.
So
They
that
have relatives.
your new gang from '81 to '93 that's to say Mamas and Papas, that gang.
Oh yeah.
Has more or less worked virtually
All over the world.
perpetually without any.
Without any record. Just going on those hits. We've gone to South America, everywhere. All over Europe, Iceland, you name it, I've been there. Last year in '93, we went to Germany about 8-9 times.
Wow.
Just Germany, besides all
And
the
were
other
you-
places.
and
Is there money in this? I mean, without getting
Well,
specific, but
I thought after 12 years that I should have been a little wealthier than I am.
but enough to keep the unit going without records.
Yeah, there was enough. Oh, absolutely.
The name and
See,
the
wonderful
reputation.
thing about name the mamas and papas, it's the same in Spanish, it's the same in Italian. Everywhere you go, it's mamas and papas. Ah, yeah, si.
And were you doing any Spanky songs?
Oh yeah, we
really?
always did some Spanky
good.
songs. Always. That was one good thing about it.
Yeah.
Oh, there were many good things about it.
Yeah.
I certainly got to travel and see the world, and I've certainly been to Germany.
So so in a sense, you were more wide-ranging as a mama than you were as an Our Gang.
Not vocally.
No, but
I
it
was
just means in
very
terms of getting
structured.
around.
Oh,
and
definitely.
working
The gang
and that
never. We only went to Europe and to the British Isles, and we didn't have time. We quit too soon. When Malcolm died, I didn't want to do it anymore.
That was really the end of it.
For me,
Yeah.
we had one more gig with Tiny Tim, and it was kind of weird because when we first started the group, we were playing the Scene in New York, Steve Paul's Scene. It was a basement place. I don't remember, somewhere up on 42nd or 41st or 54th or something. Anyway, Tiny Tim, they used to bring him into so the house would clear out between the acts. Well, in December of 68, he was the headliner at the Fontainebleau in Florida, and we were opening for him. I said, what's wrong with this picture? I'm out of here. And I was married and going to have a child.
Okay, going back to early Chicago days, and let's talk a little bit about Bob Gibson, because you knew him back during the folk scene.
Oh, yeah.
And right now you're taking part in a tribute record to him.
It is a tribute record, and there's going to be a tribute to Bob. I hope this show's before September, so that we can tell everyone in Chicago to come. It'll be at the Old Vic Theater, hopefully on September 27th. I'm not sure about that date, but it'll certainly be in the paper, and the Old Town School of Folk Music will know when it is. And Bob is, he's ill. He has a form of Parkinson's disease called, I think it's PSP. I don't know, but it's not as heavy as Parkinson's, but it's just as debilitating, and there's no cure.
Wow.
And I was with him yesterday, and we recorded on Monday in Nashville with Emmylou Harris, Tom Paxton, John Hartford, Ed McCurdy, Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul and Mary, Glenn Yarbrough of the Limelighters. God, I hope I don't leave
McGuinn in
anybody
there?
out. Who?
Roger McGuinn.
Roger couldn't make it, but
Jim.
Roger's going to play at the tribute.
Okay.
And
You
maybe
said Oscar Brand, too?
Oscar Brand. I didn't even know he was still alive.
Yeah, no kidding. Did you get Son House, too?
No. We just, got, and Josh White Jr. and Barbara Bailey Hutchinson and Catherine Craig. And we just had a ball. And we sang this wonderful song called I Hear America Singing that Shel Silverstein wrote. And they're putting together a record on Asylum. So we're all going to be on that record.
So this is, I know Asylum, their Americana label or whatever they call it, was doing a Bob Gibson album.
This is
So
a new
this will
one.
be one cut on that?
No, this is a new album.
This will be a whole different album. Great.
All Shel Silverstein material.
Okay.
Back to Chicago.
Back to Chicago.
What other than you're going down to the Gate of Horn to see him did Bob Gibson? Bob Gibson is singer, guitar player, songwriter, wrote half the songs that anybody sang during the folk era.
He sure did. And
terrific, unheralded talent.
Absolutely.
Unless you're in Chicago.
Yes.
Or a folkie anywhere else. I mean.
Yeah.
Any folk singer would know Bob Gibson and Bob Camp. They were two very sharp dressed guys, and they were up there on the stage at the Gate of Horn, and they were cracking jokes and playing these guitars, and they were just hot, and all the girls were like panting and stuff, and they were singing great harmony with and it kind of took me back because I love the Everly Brothers, and that's kind of what they were doing. The folk, I called them the Everly Brothers of folk music.
Funny. That's a good one.
Yeah.
What about Todd mentioned Jim McGuinn back, and you were on the scene at the same time that he was.
Yes, in fact, Roger used to sneak in with me to see them, and then we would go to the Oak Street Beach, and he'd have his banjo, and Guy Gilbert would have his guitar, and we would sing till the sun came up. All the songs we heard at the club.
Wow.
Because we stole your material, okay?
McGuinn has said, he makes no secret of the fact that it was Bob Gibson who turned him onto the 12-string guitar in the first place.
Absolutely. So I was right there. And actually, McGuinn and I, and
You
Guy
being much
Gilbert.
younger than any of those.
I
folks.
am. I was a child. Gwen is much older than me. But anyway, we had a trio called the Old Town Trio. Wasn't that clever? We were from Old Town. And we actually, I think we may have even had a few gigs somewhere. It's hard to believe, and he was Jim then, and it was a lot of fun.
That's great stuff.
Well, when did Little Brother Montgomery figure into all of this?
Actually, during that time, he kind of kept me alive because every gig he had, he invited me to play with him. I was 17, 18, and he was very old and had a very old band. Booker T. Washington on the drums, sometimes Wee Willie Dixon on the bass. I mean, this band, it didn't occur to me that they were all legends at the time. You know, later I'm so grateful I had the experience, but I never got over singing Chicago blues. I still love it, still sing it today.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. Did Nigel become Nigel in '67 for Spanky? Because
Yes, he did.
Because you wanted to think he was British? He did wear a bowler hat in some of those
I think
pictures,
someone
didn't
was
he?
after him, and Fred Williams was like not a good name to have at that time. So his real family name was Pickering. So I said, Fred Pickering?
No.
I don't think so. I think Nigel. He went for it.
Because there was that implication that he was British. But
Oh yeah, he always he talked with a British accent.
Was there any rivalry other than that made up maybe by the press between you and the Mamas and Papas?
I didn't know there was any made up by the
No,
press.
I mean I don't know that there was either. But
I don't think so. I don't think it could have come down where I would be the one to take the shoes of Cass, you know, if there was rivalry. If there was rivalry, we weren't aware of it.
Yeah.
Because they had a different thing. They had 2 girls and 2 guys, and it was a different thing with ascending and descending parts. We were full on 6-part. I didn't always sing the lead. The guys would sing the lead, you know. And it wasn't anything like their music, except once in a while we'd hear a familiar little ba-da-da. Their big thing was, yeah.
Okay, we got to get out of here.
Which they got from the Beatles.
We're finished?
We're finished.
Oh,
and it was a great time, and I told you it would go fast. What's the name? Have you named your little business that you're doing?
Yes, I am the Closet Angel. I will come and do your closet, and you'll
And
never
you're
be
living
the
in
same.
North Hollywood, I guess, if this
I am.
business is going
Yes,
to be
the
advertising
Closet
soon
Angel.
or something like that. Closet Angel, Spanky McFarland. It was wonderful.
Still singing, though.
Wonderful having you here.
Thanks, Art. It's
And
good fun.
thanks for coming by.
Todd.
Terrific.
Thanks for watching.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you next time. All right, fine. Signing off.